Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be looking at the differences between a prime lens, like my 300mm here, and a telephoto lens, like my 70-200. And basically what we're going to talk about is which do I prefer, what are the pros and cons of each design of system, and which one would I recommend that you go for. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a few photos taken on prime lenses, a few photos taken on a telephoto lens, and then afterwards what I'll do is I will go through the pros and cons with you. So let's head into those videos right now. Okay, so the first image we're going to look at here is of a cheetah walking towards me. This is with the 300mm with the 1.4 converter on it. And you can see, absolute sharp image, got it exactly the right moment. I've been watching this cheetah for about an hour and sort of looking and working out where it walks, what its sort of routine was, and then ended up standing exactly where I wanted to. And the first time it came around the corner, wasn't used to me being there on its walk and looked straight at me. So we got here. You also see the rain as well, where it's literally frozen the rain, because it was actually a fairly bright day. Even it was raining, I was shooting at 1/4000th of a second, which is why that rain is nicely frozen there on the left hand side. But as you see, a very good, even with the converter, sharp, usable image on that 300mm. Now, next photo here is a good example of why sometimes actually having a telephoto lens is actually a little bit better than having a prime lens. So this is one of the leopards at Colchester Zoo. This is taken at 217mm. So if I had my 300mm, we'd be a lot more cropped in to the face. And to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't have got a lock on autofocus because she was moving around so much that having yourself zoomed out that little bit more gives you a little bit more opportunity to get the AF locked on. Stop for a second, got this photo on the 200-400 at f4, and absolutely beautiful, nice and sharp, and love this image. Now this one here is taken on the 300mm with ×2 converter. So again, we're using a lot of converters here to get the reach we need. This is one of the Jaguars at Chester Zoo walking towards me through the undergrowth. Nice bright day, which is why the converter is still giving you that really nice sharp image. This is at 5.6, eye locked straight on me, and again just shows you how good an image this is with that sort of prime lens. And the same sort of image you get with the zoom lenses I've got. There's not many zoom lenses that will get to 540 sort of 600mm, which this is, unless you're using like that Sigma 150-600. But that 600mm is not as sharp, I don't think personally, as the 300mm with a ×2 converter. So there is some compromise there. It's a lighter lens setup, but I do love the imagery we've got here with the 300mm with that ×2 converter. Next image here is of a baby squirrel monkey. This is through glass as well, so you can see the edges are a little bit doohickey. That's because there's a bit of blurring going on with the lens effect there going through the glass. But the main feature is obviously the baby spider monkey in the middle here, which is nicely in focus. This is with my 200-400 at 200mm. So again, this is sort of the photo that if I had my 300mm, I'd probably be too close to the focusing distance, and I'd have to step away from the glass. I was right up against the glass to get this image. I'd have to step away from the glass, and I would probably get loads of glare then. So you can actually see me in the eyes of the spider monkey baby. That's me actually right up against the glass taking the photo. And so if I didn't have the telephoto lens with me, or I had my 300mm prime, I would not have got this image. I would have got an image, but it would have been a glary, horrible color distortion image. So this is another pro point for the telephoto lens. Now, next image here I've put in, it's not the greatest of images, but I put it in as an example of what can happen with a prime lens if you've got something walking towards you. Now, this is the only photo that I actually got with this anteater's face in focus, because it was walking towards me, not very quickly, but walking towards me, and there's a split second of area where you could get a photo in. Now, this is with my 500mm, because where this zoo is, everything is quite far away, so I took the bigger lens I've got, the 1.4 convert with me if I wanted to go to 700mm. This is at 500mm in a dark enclosure, so I am f4, but you can see that the next shot is 100% going to be out of focus, and the anteater is going to be too close. So there's a split second shot, which is more luck than anything else. And this is the sort of thing you've got to be wary of when using a prime lens. And if you're thinking of getting a prime lens, is that you have to move with the subject. You can't be zooming out. For example, if I have my 200-400 here, I could have been zooming towards the 200mm range at this point and got the whole anteater in shot, and then crop down the image to where I actually wanted it to sit. So that's a good example there of maybe one of the negatives of using a prime lens. And finally, what we've got here is one of the tigers walking towards me through some foliage. Now this, I love this photo. This photo I was trying to get for ages, because when they walk through here, you're shooting at 45 degrees through glass. So if the weather isn't exactly to your favour, this shot just looks terrible and out of focus and glary. So I got this photo finally. This is on my 200-400. This is at 200mm. Now if you imagine if I was at 300mm, if I carried my 300mm with me instead, I wouldn't have got that foliage around the outside and around the top, almost framing her coming through the foliage, and I'd have still got a very nice sharp image of her just walking towards me, but I wouldn't have had, say, that framing of the foliage, which I think makes the photo look more impressive and look almost a bit more like it's in the wild rather than it's in a zoo. If you just zoom straight up onto her in a 300mm, so you get a nice sharp photo of her on her own, but you wouldn't get a sense of the environment, as it were, and it would just look like a generic tiger photo. So very happy this came out. I'm very lucky to have had the correct lens for the moment. Okay, so those are some of the images there that we've got going through, mixture of 300mm, the 500mm, got some of the 7200 and some with 200-400. So a nice variation of different prime lenses, different apertures, and different telephoto lenses. Now, big question, which one would I prefer? Which one would I go for again? Now, when I started doing photography more seriously, I went and bought a telephoto lens, a prime lens. I got the 300mm. That was my first, well, I'd say, nice lens. I'd used stuff like the 75-300. I had a Sigma 7200 f2.8, which is, to say, a very nice lens. When I started doing it more properly and did it weekly and started enjoying it a bit more and taking it a bit more seriously, the prime lens is what I got first. Now, the main reason why I especially went for the 300mm and this exact one here is because of how sharp the review said this lens was. It's great in low light as well, being the f2.8, so you've got that nice wide open aperture there at 2.8, and it was hand holdable, which is a big thing as well. So I wanted something I could just strap on my Black Rapid strap, put a camera on the end and go out and take photos, which this did absolutely perfectly. Then over time I got the teleconverters, so I got the 1.4 times and the 2 times and carried those with me. But then at one point I was like, oh, I really fancy getting a telephoto, so then I got the 70-200. So that was my next one, again 2.8 with IS. This is a Mark 1 EF, so it's very old, but it still does the job absolutely fine. I've used this with mirrorless cameras too without a problem at all. Then at one point I was like, oh, even this, the ×2, I kind of want a nice big telephoto lens that I can just have on my shoulder, walk around with, and then still have either this strapped to my side or the 70-200, just so I don't have to mess around with teleconverters and just feel like I've got a lens that's long enough. So I was looking at between the 600 or the 500. At the time I purchased my 500mm, that was £1,000 less than the 600 on the second-hand market. I paid $18.99 for that 500mm f4 that I've got, compared to almost $3,000 for the 600mm, and absolutely loved it. I've used that lens, that 500mm lens, as my only lens at zoos before, and shot everything just in one day with the 500mm. Walking around with that is something that is hard to get used to, and I get asked a lot, especially when I'm at zoos and I talk to other photographers, why do you only have a prime lens, when I do go with just a prime lens. And the simple thing is, it's just something you get used to when you sort of automatically learn, right, that animal's about 1.8 meters away, I need to be 2.8 meters away to get the minimum focus. Let's step back a bit. You almost, with your eyes, sort of gauge where that distance is and start learning that, and it becomes your second nature, and it just becomes really easy to do. And having those lower apertures and having the extra sharpness of being a prime lens is just absolutely amazing, and I love doing that. But you do have that extra weight you carry. So when I'm carrying the 300mm and the 500mm, that's a lot of weight to carry around. 2 lenses, 2 cameras, you've got your spare batteries, spare cards, and everything like that. You're carrying a hell of a lot of weight around for a long day, especially if you're travelling as well to places. Like I travel around the country to different places to take photos. There's a lot of equipment to carry around with you, and you've got to take your laptop, some clothes and everything. So it got to the point last year I was like, I really want a nice high-end telephoto lens. So then I bought the 200 to 400 with the inbuilt converter. So I've technically got a 200 to 540mm pro level L glass, water resistant, and the absolute nuts lens. And to be honest, since buying that lens, I've used it probably not actually as much as I thought I would, but I do use it a lot. If ever I go somewhere to a zoo or go did some stuff in London with the deer, and I didn't know what sort of distances we'd be, I took that lens straight away. Didn't bother taking a prime with me, just took that one lens, 200 to 400. It's got an inbuilt converter and one camera, did the job perfectly and does the job perfectly. When I go up to Chester nowadays, I just take the one lens, take that, and then if I did want to take 2 lenses, I could take the 70 to 200, and I've got 70 all the way up to 540 covered by 2 lenses. I could have 2 cameras on me if I want to, one slung, and at any point I should be able to get any photo. Now, that doesn't mean that I no longer take prime lenses. When I go to my local zoo, or a zoo I've been to a lot, and I know how the photo is going to turn out, and I know how far away the animal is going to be, I'll take the primes, because I know I can get a sharper, crisper image. And if it's low light, especially in the winter, I always carry the 300mm. I take it everywhere, because when low light, this lens is absolutely spectacular. So what I will say is, I had the luxury of obviously going from the sort of cheaper Sigma zoom lenses that I could use still, but when I got my prime, so it was a bit different for me. But if you're looking for your first sort of pro level lens, I would personally go with maybe 100 to 400 or 70 to 200 and buy some converters, something like that, so you've got that telephoto thing. I wouldn't do what I did, because it does limit you quite a lot, and there were a lot of photos when I first started that I did miss with the prime lens over if I had a teleconverter, because the animal was too far away and I had to crop in too much, or the animal was jumped too close and I couldn't get a photo like that. But once you've got used to where you're going, where you're taking photos with, and you've got used to that 100 to 400 or 70 to 200 or whatever you end up buying, then do buy at least one prime lens. Doesn't have to be a 300mm. They do a 200mm f2.8. You've got the 100mm macro, you've got 400mm DO, 400mm 2.8. You've got loads of options that you could buy in that prime category. So find out what sort of focal distance you use a lot. You'll be able to see from the metadata when you take your photos what focal lengths you use a lot. And looking at all my photos, it was a 300mm that seemed to be where I wanted to be. And pick one, because it's really interesting. I find it quite fun to have that extra bit of challenge of, you have to actually move your feet rather than just twist your hand. But you do get the benefit of having that faster, sharper image. The autofocus is slightly quicker, so you've got less physical moving tubes and stuff. You've got moving heavier glass around because the element's bigger, but you haven't got all the telephoto features in there to sort of slow down your AF. So it is a quicker autofocusing lens too. And I say something like the 300mm is absolutely 100% hand holdable. It's so good and useful that my dad was borrowing this so much that he ended up buying his own. So we've now got 2 of these in the house, exactly the same lens, just because I wasn't able to use my lens as much because my dad was using it all the time, so he ended up buying his own one of it. So the 300mm is by far one of the best, and you can pick these up so cheap now, like £1,300, probably even less if you don't mind about the condition of the outside. As long as that glass is in good condition, that's the thing you want to make sure when you're buying anything second hand. Make sure that glass is clean. Also, because this is a Mark 1, Canon do not repair these anymore. You have to find a third-party repair company. There are people who do it, so just remind yourself of that as well, because if you want ease of service, these lenses aren't ease of service. So if you do have a problem, you are going to have to do a bit of digging to find someone who can service it. When I buy my cameras and lenses, I make sure I buy from someone that gives a warranty. So I always buy from MPB or from Wex, and you receive a warranty. I think Wex is now a year on second-hand stuff. So you've got that peace of mind for the first year. And then from there, I have all my kit insured. So if anything major does happen, I've got insurance for that. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, comment and like, as you've always been doing, and you're doing so well at the moment. We're growing the channel very nicely. Let me know your thoughts. What lens did you first buy, if you've already sort of got into photography, or what lens are you thinking of buying as your first lens? Let me know down below, and I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.